Good morning, students. Today we are going to start a new topic in physics, that is heat transfer. So concentrate yourself. This is important topic. Thermal energy is the total kinetic energy of the molecules in a body. Very important line. Heat transfer takes place only when there is a difference in the temperature. And other very important point. Heat is transferred from high temperature region to low temperature region. Example is bodies A and B are in contact. Body A is at higher temperature than body B, and so A loses heat at a rate higher than the rate at which it absorbs heat from B. This causes a temperature drop in body A and an increase in the temperature in body B. Finally, the two bodies have the same temperature. The three methods of thermal energy transfer is conduction, convection, and radiation. Now we are going to start the topic conduction in heat transfer. The definition of the conduction is the process by which heat is transmitted through a medium from its hotter part to its colder part until they are both at the same temperature. The two mechanisms of the conduction of the heat through solids are molecular vibration and free electron diffusion. Thermal energy transfer without any flow of the material medium in conduction. When a part of an object medium is supplied with thermal energy, the molecules at this part gain kinetic energy. They vibrate faster and collide with the neighboring molecules. As the molecules collide, there is kinetic energy transfer. The less energetic molecules gain kinetic energy, vibrate faster, and collide with the other less energetic molecules in the colder part of the object. This process continues until heat energy becomes uniform throughout the body. Note, the rate of the heat energy determines whether an object is a good or poor conductor. A poor conductor can become a good insulator. Solids are better conductors than liquids and gases because the molecules are much closer together. Solids can either be metals or non-metals. Metals are good conductors because they have free electrons which are not possessed by non-metals. So this is the reason metals are good conductors. When thermal energy is supplied, besides the transfer of the heat energy through vibrating molecules, these electrons also gain kinetic energy and are free to move towards the colder end. Their collisions with each other or with the less energetic molecules transfer kinetic energy. Examples of everyday applications. All metals are good conductors of heat. For example, cooking pans, kettles, electric iron are made of copper, aluminium, or steel. Plastic and wood are poor conductors, but good insulators. Poor conductors because they do not have free electrons. And good conductors because, for example, handles of the cooking utensils are made of the plastic or wood. Air is a very good insulator. A layer of the trapped air can slow down the conduction process. Do you know that you can keep a block of the ice frozen for a longer period of time if it is wrapped in a wet piece of the paper? Because in a wet piece of the paper, there is a trapped layer of the water, and water is a good insulator. The water in the paper serves as an insulator. As you know, water is not a good conductor of the thermal energy. To melt the ice, thermal energy has to pass through this layer of the water to reach the ice. In fact, if you want the block of the ice to stay frozen even longer, you should use a piece of the wet white paper. The white surface is a bad absorber and a good reflector of the thermal energy. So, if you want to keep the ice even more longer, use a wet white paper. Some more examples are here. The air trapped in and between our clothes and blankets keeps us warm. This is the phenomena which keep us warm in winters. When we put on a jacket or warm clothes, there is a trapped air between the clothes. So that's why we feel hot. The air trapped in fur and feathers keep animals warm. A refrigerator has insulation material around itself. The insulation largely reduces the amount of the heat transfer from the outside warmer temperature. Pockets of the air trapped in materials such as wool, fiberglass, felt and expanding polystyrene reduces heat transfer by conduction. They are therefore used to make woolen clothes and blankets, fiberglass for insulation in roofs and walls, expanded polystyrene in the walls of the refrigerator. So this is the reason they are used as an insulating material. The air in double wall reduces transfer of the heat between the inside of the room and the outside. This phenomena was used a long time before when ACs were not invented. For example, if you see some Mughal structures in your country, they use double walls, and in double walls there is a trapped air layer which reduces the heat loss between the outside and the inside of the structure. So that phenomena was used in old buildings. This is the same phenomena which is used in modern life in double glazed windows, providing an insulating layer of the air between the inside and the outside. Table mat is another example of the poor conductor because in table mat, a layer of the air is trapped. That's why the hotness of the hot utensils is not passed to the glass of the table. That's why this is used on the tables. This is the same phenomena which is used in the oven gloves to take a hot dish out of the oven, because in this glove a layer of the air is trapped. That's why hotness of this thing will not be felt by the hand, because gloves help keep unwanted heat away. We prefer plastic ladle to stir boiling soup because plastic ladle is a good insulator. Sawdust is used to cover the ice blocks because of its good insulating property. Again, a layer of the water is trapped in ice dust, which behaves as an insulating layer. Handles of the domestic equipment are made of the wood or plastic because they are bad conductors of the heat. Soldering. Iron rods are made of iron with the tip made of copper because copper is much better conductor of the heat than iron. Heat exchangers used in laundry enables precious fuels to be saved. The hot dirty water obtained from the hot wash is used to heat up the cold clean water by rapid conduction of the heat through the walls of the copper tubing. Here is a tube through which hot dirty water will be passed and around which a copper tubing is there through which clean water is passed, and heat will be passed on to the clean water by conduction through this tube to the outer tube, so fuel can be saved. Another question is here: fiber is used for home insulation as shown. Here is a roof, here is roof space, and here is a layer of the fiber is used. Here is a ceiling. Question is, how does fiber prevents heat passing easily through the ceiling? The answer is D. Fiber traps air. So here is a trapped layer of the air which behaves as a insulating material, due to which heat cannot be passed from inside to outside and from outside to inside. Trapped air is a very good insulator. Another question is here: a stone floor feels cool to bare feet, but a carpet in the same room feels warm. Or if you touch the metal knob of the door on a cold day with the one hand and the wooden portion of the same door with the other hand, you will feel that the metal knob is much colder than the wooden portion of the floor or door. Why? The answer is metal is a much better conductor of the heat than wood. This means that the metal conductor heat energy away from your hand much more rapidly than wood. In the same way, stone is much better conductor of the heat than carpet. Question is, why is it more effective to wear a few layers of the thin clothing than a single thick layer of the clothing on a cold day? So if you wear a number of the thin layer of the clothing on a cold day, air will be trapped between the clothing layers. So that's why that air layer will behave as an insulating material, and the heat of your body will not move away from your body to the environment. That's why you will keep yourself warm. So use a few layers of the thin clothing than a single thick layer of the clothing on a cold day is better. Do you know? The dense feathers on the penguins trap a lot of the air in between them. Together with the thick layer of the fat under the skin, they provide good thermal insulation, which allows the penguins to withstand temperature below -40 degrees C. Just imagine. In addition, penguins huddle close together, sometimes in packs of the thousands, to protect themselves from the cold. Huddling reduces the surface area of the body exposed to the extremely cold weather, and this reduces heat loss through conduction and convection. At the same time, loss of the heat through radiation is also reduced. Every so often, penguins shift position to allow those who have been on the edges of the worm to warm themselves up in the center of the group. Penguins are indeed considerate creatures. This is the phenomena which they adopt when the temperature is too fall, that is minus 40 degrees C. They huddle together. Their surface area exposed to the environment is very reduced now. Air is trapped in their feathers. Furthermore, there is a thick layer of the fat beneath the feathers. So that's why they keep themselves warm. So this was the topic. Read it again very carefully and make your notes. Thank you so much.